So now Bruins fans are like, okay, but then what's next for us? Because as you point out, it's rare to lose players of this caliber. As we look down the middle, their potential center options, Bruins fans have just turned the volume up. What do you say to them?
It's tough. It's tough because I think the best thing with this team last year and how special that team was is that with those two, Bergeron, Krejci, 1-2, that slotted Charlie Coyle properly as a third-line player, whether it's center or wing, and Pavel Zacha the same, and the way those guys kind of moved around. I know Zacha was up on that all-check line there with Krejci and Pasta as well. But, people were slotted appropriately, and now when I look at this group, I don't feel like they are, but I also think it's very important not to make a knee-jerk reaction. Yes, I would assume at some point here, Don Sweeney and company are going to address it. But in the meantime, let's see what we got, And I find that this Bruins team is when you think they're down, that's when they usually get up, and they're tough to deal with. So I think that's all part of being a Boston Bruin. They're a difficult team to play against. I would sit there, though, and look from my vantage point. I'm sitting there thinking, what centers are available? What centers out there?
That's where I wanted to go.
And the one that's jumping out to me is the one that's still under contract for another year. Out Winnipeg, Mark Scheifele.
How about it?
And I'm just thinking to myself, Mark Scheifele's that guy. I mean, he's that guy. I think, I don't know what it costs. I don't know what it would cost to get a player like that. But to me, that screams Boston Bruins, right? And so I think at some point here, we're going to see 55 get moved. And I'm thinking Boston Bruins through and through, and it would be a great fit. I don't know, again, what that cost is. I don't know. I can bet you the ask is probably one of the goaltenders in Boston. And that's really their strongest suit right now is in net with Linus Ullmark and Jeremy Swayman. So we'll see how this plays out. But the Boston Bruins, they'll do something at some point here.
And if it's on Winnipeg's side, you think about they have Connor Hellebuck. So do they want another goalie, need another goalie? When you look at this situation for Boston, one of the elements to it is just how high they set the bar last year. It was the best regular season we've ever seen. And then obviously, the flame out in the playoffs was not what anyone had in store or believed was in store. So then you have to adjust to life without Bergeron and now life without Krejci.
Yeah.
It's going to be a way different feel. How does Jim Montgomery adapt?
Yeah, it's what you get paid the big bucks to do, right? Try to get everybody in the right mind space. And I think he's a very good coach that can he'll have a plan in place when they come in. I think the big thing, though, it's the what if. Because I sit here and I don't – this team didn't lack anything. Like, they didn't – this team last year was not built like the 2019 Bolts that had that great, magnificent regular season.
Sure.
And then they got swept by the Columbus Blue Jackets in the playoffs. It wasn't that, because that team, for me, won because they were just more talented than everybody else, and they had the best goaltender in the world. And they're very well coached. But they didn't win games in different manners. Boston did.
Yes.
Like Boston, they can outshoot you, but they can also keep it really tight. And they have, last year with Ullmark, the Vezina Trophy winner, right? So the what if, and we were talking about that off air before. The Florida Panthers, what a story they were in this last year's playoffs.
Yes.
But let's not forget, they went Stanley Cup Finals, but it went Game 7 in this series.
And they were down 3-1.
And they're down 3-1.
Yep.
So I think that's where you kind of kick yourself if you're the Boston Bruins. But at the same rate, like, it could have gone the other way, and this could all be a moot point. Like, this Boston Bruins team could have picked up steam there.
Absolutely.
So it's the what if. How do we evaluate where we're at and what we need? Clearly, losing Bergeron and Krejci, you're not a better team today.
No.
But maybe this team has learned something about what it takes, and it's just hard to know. They know probably inside that room, and they got a good grasp of it. But right now, that team had no weaknesses last year. It just shows how difficult it is to win in the Stanley Cup playoffs.